Hello again, get this, I recently visited the pawn shop and found they're bringing out Waddle Dees for free! Fun stuff, they were also giving out All Might energy drinks as a $1.99 extension deal for the Waddle Dee, but come on, I'm not that desperate! But I am thirsty.
Many of us come across that one awkward moment where we want a new game, but our wallet doesn't. So that's how they get you. Well, maybe we can come to an agreement. Sales prices, game passes, secondhand buying. Or free-to-play games. Games in which you don't have to pay for it. You just download it. It's easy, simple, predatory. If a game is free to play, they're going to make sure you know it and are enticed by it, cause what a deal! Now one may ask, well, if the game is free, then how are they making money? Extortion for one. These games make their money through various means, getting you to buy cosmetics, bonus modes, loot boxes, season passes, in-game currency the second you make that first transaction. Well, somebody's unhappy. A lot of people would say that this is ruining video games and that the world would be a better place without them. Not enough people say that, but at this point the market has already decided, gamers have just come to accept it. There's not really much else I can say that hasn't already been said about microtransactions other than I don't like them. Putting that aside, however, there is still a game to play, and since these tactics are often just locking away cosmetics nowadays, it's pretty much optional.
I want to look specifically at the gameplay of these games. What kind of fun are you actually in for with them? I know gameplay alone doesn't make up for 100% of a game's overall quality, but I feel like it makes up a bit more than people seem to let on. Do you really need to spend money to enjoy these games? As long as you pay with your soul. Let's make one thing clear though, I will mainly be talking about games that I myself have played or have had an interest in. I can revisit this topic when that game list grows. So, without further delay, let's talk about Battle Royales.
If you had a pulse in 2017 and were at least somewhat familiar with gaming, you probably touched these guys at some point. Didn't matter what you're doing, you probably had some urge to embrace virginity. The objective is simple, last the longest. Personally, I don't care as much for the Battle Royale gameplay loop nowadays, mainly because of how slow-paced it can be at times. There are moments where you can get caught into a series of battles upon landing, and in those cases, it's actually pretty fun. Most of the time though, I feel like I'm either jumping right into death's door or a completely vacant area, both of which make the time spent going into that game just feel like a bit of a waste. Probably just a skill issue. Fortnite and PUBG were the biggest things back in 2017, as one took a realistic tone and the other a more cartoony one, so if you didn't like one of them, you probably had some interest in the other. 14-year-old Chris really liked cartoons and anime, so guess where he ended up. Speaking of up, let's see how this game holds it. I landed in some place called Tilted Towers, but if you ask me, that's just false advertising. Whoa! After that brief scare, I hole up in this house for a bit. I even defend myself against some poor sap who's probably as confused as I am. I shoot some guy in the face. Oh my gosh, there's a storm! Ouch, 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 ouch. Oh man, I just eliminated and feasted on this guy's dead body. Ouch, 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 ouch. I died from the storm. Okay, maybe one more. I borrow some stuff from Darth Vader because he's just such a nice guy. After hearing some gunshots, I proceed to look for where the fight was happening. Once I arrive, the fight's already over. Nobody's there. This happens like 4 times. Where is everybody? I managed to shoot this poor sap in the face and took a second to drink some water.
You can build?
I never found that person again, so I wandered onto the high ground and just started shooting into a bush as aim assist helped me hit something.
Well, I've done everything I can do.
Not much for me to say other than it felt good to control. The gameplay loop is something you'll enjoy with friends, and the running animation makes me flinch. PUBG Battlegrounds. Isn't Battlegrounds within the acronym PUBG? Furthermore, are we to just assume that player unknowns are the first 2 words in that acronym now? What's stopping me from calling it Penguins Utilize Backgains Battlegrounds? In case my comment earlier that compared Fortnite to PUBG didn't make it clear, this one never interested me back in 2017, mainly because of its focus on realism for graphics. Have you seen 14-year-old Chris in the real world? Let's give it a fair shake and give ourselves a name. To show how close a relationship I'm trying to have with this game, I'm gonna take inspiration from the title. Let's say hello to PUBG! PUBG Battlegrounds. PUBG Battle. I opted to a game real quick against some CPUs because you gotta play at least 10 rounds with them before getting to play against people. Fine. There was a disturbing lack of penguins so far, but whatever. Let's try to get that chicken dinner.
wins!
As far as first impressions go, yeah, nothing's changed. The best way I can probably describe how it feels to play is sluggish and slow. Battle Royales can already be slow on their own. To be fair, that's probably what they were going for, well, with the focus on realism for graphics and all. Perhaps this game was attempting something that Fortnite wasn't. Too bad it's probably something I dislike. Sorry, Pugby Gattle. You might never see the light of day again. Let's get out of reality and into Realm Royale, one I've always had a weird distaste for. It's cartoony and you turn into chickens with how dumb that is 16-year-old Chris should have ate it up. Maybe my hate is misplaced. Perhaps there is something to love here. Let's hop to a game and find out.
Maybe I'll get back to this one.
Apex Legends, finally, something I actively play. Kind of. You see, I play more arenas than the actual Battle Royale, mainly due to how it kind of just cuts the fluff of Battle Royale formats and focuses more on just fighting. It's just a faster paced way to play Apex Legends, and I honestly think it's pretty nice. I just can't say the same for the character selection. One major problem I have with free-to-play games that involve multiple characters to play is the fact that you often need to pay for those characters or need to grind for ludicrous hours just to scrape up the in-game currency for one. Yeah, Apex does this. This is literally locking behind vital content, especially in a competitive setting behind a paywall. And microtransactions in that context? Yeah, that stinks. At least there's a way to get the currency required for free, but that currency is often so few and far between to collect that I just do not have enough interest to bother with unlocking them all. Buying the Champions Pack would skip that process, but it kinda defeats the idea of a free-to-play game as you're paying to have everything the game has to offer at that point. Microtransactions are at their most acceptable when they're locking behind cosmetics, you know, stuff that isn't really a part of the core gameplay. And even then, I'm sure gamers would rather just pay one price point to get all the characters, access to the base game, and reasonable ways to earn cosmetics without any additional fees. Whatever. At the very least, I can say the core gameplay loop is still something you can enjoy before really disliking the business model. There are moments where I'm a bit bored, sure, but there's just something about how it feels to control these guys and use these weapons that make the battles very engaging and fun. And when you win... Whoa! I killed the kill leader!
So that's what your first time feels like.
If you have any platform that isn't the Switch, it wouldn't hurt to give Apex Legends a fair shake, but I will be the last person who willingly spends money on a character. Also, I say anything but the Switch because even the mobile port often runs better than the Switch port. I hate that I can say that. Obviously, Battle Royales aren't the only games to exist, they're merely among the most popular, which is why I would like to hop over to the fighting genre, starting with Brawlhalla. Let's hop into an online match and warm ourselves up.
Player 2 wins.
How can I lose? Oh.
It's a platform fighter, knocking the opponent off screen, often compared awkwardly to Smash Bros. Despite its only similarity is the fact that you can only take out your opponent by knocking them off screen. Kinda hard to blame them though. Platform fighters are a relatively newer genre that only recently started getting more love as games like Slap City, Nickelodeon All-Stars, Multiverses, Rivals of Aether brought it to more than just Smash Bros. Oh, and Duck Game 2. Since it's on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Switch, heck, even mobile if you're feeling funky enough, the implementation of crossplay makes it an easy game to get into with others. It is much simpler than Smash. There are only like 4 items, and characters only really differ in their stats and weapon styles. Oh yeah, those. Characters don't have a unique set of moves, they simply have 2 weapon types which are only attainable during the fight. And we also have to buy the characters. At least it's much easier with the in-game currency, but it does take a while for even just one. And some cost even more than others. Why? Again, Champions Pack is an option, but again, I'm not going to pay for content that I can get for free in a game. Nor am I really going to be invested in unlocking the characters enough to actually spend as much time playing to get them all. That aside, actually fighting feels really good. The characters are snappy in their movements, but take just enough time for it to be possible to react. This game has potential, and I hope the developers really take advantage of it. Because Ninjala sure isn't. Okay. The core gameplay isn't bad. when the server gives you access to it. It feels good to run around smacking kids with gum, but what's the point of trying to chase that high when the servers force everything to feel like you need to move 2 seconds in advance just to do something?
I can only like water so much, man. In fact, this isn't even water. This is just gasoline.
On top of that, I know I'm not alone when I say that this game is painfully unbalanced. I remember playing it during the launch. Everyone actually wanted to fight each other, only really going for drones when they're convenient. Sure, that alone could get boring as well as it was the only game mode aside from team matches, but at least it was engaging and let me have fun. Nowadays, it's as if drones are the only thing that matters. They give so many points, are much safer than getting into fights, and even offer a decent bonus if you get the most. Because of this, strategy is kind of out the window. Unless you're wicked insane at combat enough to keep up with the drone hunters, the drone mechanic can sometimes completely invalidate the need for combat, which is unfortunate because combat can actually be pretty fun. But with the balancing being all over the place, the servers making everything clunky, a lack of diversity in terms of game modes, most of them being regulated to timed events, or in battle but nobody plays this, so who cares? It's really hard for me to come back to this one and not feel like I'm wasting my time. Well, they did introduce a feature in Season 9 that affects how strong your abilities are by using a currency that you can earn in-game at a slow rate or invalidate it with your wallet. Oh, come on! I am so frustrated with the state of Ninjala because it had so much potential, but just didn't care enough to take advantage of it. I haven't even talked about the weapons, but I don't want to whine about Ninjala any more than I really feel I need to, so it might be a good time to look at some games that are better at being free to play than Ninjala is. Mostly because they weren't one to begin with. Rocket League was originally a 1999 game on Steam, but when the Fortnite guys ate up its developers and ripped the game from Steam to put it on their own game client, the game transitioned into a free-to-play. As someone who bought it on Steam before the acquisition, you can bet I handle it in the most mature way. Score points by hitting the ball with little cars while committing murder if you so desire. As someone who grew up with an Hispanic family, this fits the bill. Maybe not so much the murder part. The game is even more so littered with microtransactions than I remember. Maybe Epic Games give it the Fortnite disease or just simply accelerated the process from before. But at least the gameplay remained unchanged. Fun can still be had here. Regardless of where you're playing it from, crossplay, multiple modes, heck, even easy to learn controls in my opinion. This makes it accessible within the friend group. Unless you're on mobile. Holy whoa. Apparently Rocket League got its own version on mobile devices. I tried it out, it exists. Let me just say, every game releasing on Switch should at least attempt to have a performance mode, to have the game run at 60, as Knockout City is the only other free-to-play game I've seen do this, and that makes it a good enough Switch version. Speaking of which, Knockout City! It's dodgeball with funny physics, and if the reveal trailer so far is anything to go by, we'll be playing as characters with a variety of art styles, which has the potential for a visually interesting game.
Hey, I gotta say, this actually looks pretty good. Now I know what it feels like to be catfished.
EA did this game dirty with its marketing, especially with the reveal trailer. We were presented with fictional game mascots, and that had us thinking, oh, are we going to be playing as these guys? Before showing us that we'll actually be playing as what I would instinctively describe as slightly better looking Xbox avatars. It's not like they look bad. I just feel nothing when I'm seeing these guys. I don't have a doubt in my mind that that fake out turned away some people. Couple that with a buggy launch, server issues, and the gameplay mechanics not having much depth to keep players around. Since launch, however, the game seems to have gotten better. And for what it's worth, Knockout City does have the unique factor to it, since while you could probably find half a dozen free-to-play games that involve shooting guns, a game in general that's centered around dodgeball is actually very few and far between to come by. After playing a few rounds too, I don't think the gameplay is really all that bad. There is some depth as to how you throw the ball, catch balls, throw your own teammates. It is simple enough for very new players to come pick up and get used to, but it does have a hint of complexity that veteran players can use to get the advantage. For the launch of its 6th season, Knockout City ditched EA and became free to play. Thank goodness. For $20, this game was a bit of a tough call, but for free? If you have any interest, give it a shot. Even the Switch version is fine to play if you don't mind funkier graphics for more frames. The game may get repetitive, especially if you're playing on your own, but if you manage to get a few friends, I'd say it's worth a fair shake to see if it offers a fun afternoon. Unless it doesn't, in which case do you like beans? Fall Guys was also originally a 1999 game that became free to play and cross-platform when it came on a Switch. Do you think I'm happy with playing as a bean?
How do you like eating them? You want me to be them?
Complete objectives to stay in the game. competing against roughly 60 or so players for a chance to get the crown. After playing a handful of games, I think one can say that this game is, in fact, fun when you are playing with others. On your own though, this is definitely one of those games I'd play in short bursts rather than for hours on end. The game modes are interesting and there is quite a bit of variety to keep each match fresh. But it's probably ideal to gather some friends. The best I could do was find this guy who really liked to hug. How considerate. Also, please play Fall Guys on anything other than a Switch if you're capable. It runs on Switch, but it's clear it wasn't made for it, and with the frame rate being funky on top of that, just get it on PC if you can. Other than that, there's not really much else to say. There is only really one mode to play, and that's kind of it. Was this game really worth the $19.99 price tag? We got the cosmetics alongside it, sure, but I don't really know if that was the case. Huh. After seeing so many beans, I have a sudden urge to kill. Paladins is one I have the most fond memories of, at least everything before and after the dreaded Pain to Win era. Haven't touched it in about 4 years, but let's see if this still has whatever captivated me back then. Who the heck is this guy? After finding out that this is supposed to be Victor, I decided I will come back to this when Royale finds me a match. Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Okay, listen, speaking from experience, I know what a fraud looks like and that is one of them.
Hello again, this is Future Chris here. For legal reasons, that previous statement was a joke.
This was a $14.99 game that turned free to play when Valve thought the business model was too good to pass up and knew it would reinvigorate the player base. I remember playing it many years beforehand and kind of going through the same thing I did with PUBG. In case you forgot, if you're a terrorist, commit terrorism. If you're a counter-terrorist, commit counter-terrorism. Either way, someone's committing homicide. I tried to hop into a match, saw that bots were the only ones in the match, realized there's a reason why Dust 2 has its own category on the menu, and oh man, have we got a party going on here. It's simple, a bit slow, but I do remember it being fun with friends, and for that reason alone, 13-year-old Chris loved it. Too bad I don't. Yeah, this is not my type of game. You're gonna have to do some research and practice a lot before you can move and shoot in a way that doesn't leave you as a punching bag. At least there are other modes I found more fun. Arms race may just be kill to get weapons that are harder to kill with than score enough points, but I found it a lot more enjoyable, likely due to how faster it is to get slapped and get back into the fray. Though I often spawn right next to enemies just to die before I can do anything, so I'm sure CSGO is great if you're into games that require quite some skill. It'll really make a dent in the leaderboard. But as a casual player, I might just stick to Valorant. I remember seeing a bunch of videos about Valorant's anti-cheat being a virus and as a result, straying away from it at all costs. Now? Yeah, I'll tell you what I thought about Valorant's gameplay. If I had to not do it justice, I could say that it's CSGO with abilities. I could also be honest and say it's CSGO with abilities. The only thing differentiating it is the art style, abilities like in Overwatch, and the fact that my computer is still confused as to what this is. There are more modes than just planting bombs though, so it's got that going for it. Escalation is pretty much just arms race, but the way Valorant handles its controls helped me enjoy it even more. In my opinion, when it comes to controls, tighter is always better. Though it has the same frustration of accessing other characters that Brawlhalla and Apex Legends has, so that is a bit of a tough spot on it. If CSGO didn't grab you, but games like Overwatch and Paladins do, Valorant might as well. Unless you're unwilling to let the anti-cheat have such high permissions on the computer, in which case, sure, stay away. It may not be harmful, but it understandably causes concern. Like Halo Infinite. How popular Halo is and how every game beforehand was something you had to pay for, I was taken aback at the fact that Infinite was going to take the free-to-play route with its multiplayer. People like me can finally get into Halo without spending a dime!
Good.
Regardless of what the community thinks about Halo's welcoming of season passes and microtransactions, looking at the gameplay specifically, it's pretty fun. The abilities, the weapons, the lack of game modes, 343 taking years to drip me new content that has been in previous Halo games that launch may stink terribly, but the game is fun. It just clearly needed to be delayed. This game would have had such a greater impact had it invaded the whole drip feed business by adding another year or two of development time to make it something really special. Games like Ninjala and Fortnite were fairly simple at launch, but they were also original ideas. They didn't have 7 previous installments to fall back on for bringing stuff back. I'd be scared if they did. It is understandable why many players were furious, as compared to the multiplayer in previous Halo games, Infinite's is very bare bones. If you're a newcomer like me, I'm sure you'll have some fun, but even I personally found it really hard to come back to after playing for a couple of weeks. There just wasn't much to do at launch. There may be more to do now, but I'm too busy catching up on Wii games to care. Furthermore, many have also pointed out how weird the servers are when it comes to hit detection and have clear proof of how wonky it can be. I personally haven't experienced it in such an obvious way yet, but the amount of people that are experiencing it can't be ignored. That's gotta get fixed before somebody makes a better game on Roblox. I am still flabbergasted at how huge Roblox has gotten. I remember playing it back when Minecraft first came out, and since I didn't have Minecraft, I was foolishly comparing the two and trying to convince myself that Roblox was better. I was 10, dumb, and a Builders Club member. What more could you want from me? Hey! My old account is still here! Hey! The allied Robloxian troops. I remember these guys. I used to be high ranked. I also used to be 10. Hey! Where the heck is Builders Club? Oh. Free-to-play games are an interesting breed. There are so many of them tackling so many different genres that for now, I think I'm just gonna put a pin in it. They tend to get a lot of flack for the tactics they use to get your money, as they should. However, they do help a game stay funded long enough for the developers to keep doing updates. So while there are several reasons to fight against it, there can be valid reasons when a game transitions over to free-to-play, adopting the business model to stay alive, rather than leave its most passionate fans without it. With it almost always being for cosmetics, I can at least accept when microtransactions only lock behind content that I don't consider as part of the core experience. However, for many, cosmetics are a part of the core experience, and for them, microtransactions are more like paywalls for content that should already be in the base game. Heck, I even agree with them on games like Halo or Fall Guys, where the only other motivation for playing other than it's fun is the cosmetics. Since I shift my attention mainly towards the gameplay, my judgment on free-to-play games tends to shift towards how much fun I have with it, instead of how much it tries to nag my wallet. I only start having a problem when gameplay content itself requires some dough. However, I also understand why someone would want to stay away from games that purely revolve around having little free content, but much more meatier content locked behind a paywall at launch. Many would much rather pay for a game just once and have that game give everything it has to offer, both at launch and potentially for future updates. And then there's what Nintendo's doing. I hate how they're still getting away with that.
Despite their problems, I tend to be pretty soft towards these free-to-play games, which makes what I can complain about them sting just a little bit more. I can acknowledge that they have issues, but I also think that there are valid reasons to like these games, instead of everyone just looking at the term free-to-play with that negative connotation. At the end of the day, if you're having fun playing any of these games, I have no right to discredit that. All the more power to you. Heck, I even managed to actually have some fun with a good chunk of these games. Most of the problems I'd ever have with them were stuff that never actually affected the core gameplay itself, which can be enjoyable. But those are just my thoughts. Like I said, since cosmetics to me are usually more of a bonus than a part of the core experience, I'm usually content with opting out of spending money on a product that's free. But I did have to go back to the pawn shop because I am just really thirsty.